Husband discovers wife's newfound desire for threesomes after their successful experience and struggles to do it while keeping their relationship intact. My wife, 26F, and myself, 28M, have been together 8 years, and our relationship is excellent. We've never had any fidelity issues. Not even flirty text messages or overly friendly coworkers. We are both in good shape physically and are attractive individuals by most standards. My wife consistently reminds me how attracted she is to me, and we struggle to keep our hands off of each other even after almost a decade together. Sex is consistent and always great for both of us. We are very vocal about fantasies, and trying to new things has always been easy between the two of us. We were on vacation 2 months ago when my wife randomly suggested a threesome while we were at a local bar. I was beyond shocked, and even with a few drinks in me, was convinced she was joking and wasn't going to fall for it. She eventually convinced me she was serious, and I went along with it. She immediately points to a young lady who supposedly had been staring at me from across the room, and my wife had noticed, found the girl attractive as well, and had the spontaneous idea. I had not been with another woman for so long it was difficult to get into it at first. My wife, on the other hand, was loving every second of it. Seeing her enthusiasm and enjoyment eventually got me more involved, and it ended up being a really good time and a lot of fun for all of us. We talked about it a few times, but only how hot/enjoyable it was. Sex was normal and there was nothing awkward following the encounter. Fast forward to yesterday and the reason for my post. At our local gym, I periodically go to find my wife and check on her throughout our workouts. As I approach her, I come in at the exact moment she is making eye contact with another man through the wall-length mirrors of the gym. She smiles at him and sheepishly looks away. I choose to ignore it in the moment and go about finishing my workout. That night at dinner, my wife casually asks if I would want to try another threesome. I say not really. She follows up by expressing interest in trying one with another guy as if that may change my mind. I tell you, my heart sank. I felt so many emotions in that moment I can't even quantify them. I realized that her flirtation with a stranger at the gym is likely fueled by an internal fantasy/desire for MFM threesome. Flirting or even giving another man the time of day is something she's never done. I hid my emotions well, because even after I said that didn't interest me, she tried to compare our last experience and encourage me, saying it might be a lot of fun. I'm at a loss. I feel like I somehow unlocked something in my wife that will cause a lot of issues if not handled properly. How do I set a boundary that's already been crossed? And how do I convince her that's not what I want without leaving her with desires and fantasies that I can't fulfill? How do I handle my spouse wanting an MFM threesome after having our first threesome experience, FFM, only 2 months ago that my spouse also suggested and I agreed to? How do I convince her that's not what I want without leaving these new feelings and desires unfulfilled? Edit, better explanation for the issue. I feel like I can't just say no. I want to address these new desires and fantasies that she's having and still maintain my boundaries and our relationship. Edit 2, MFM threesome as in 2 straight men and 1 woman. Edit 3, clarify a few things. I don't know Jim Guy and didn't recognize him. My wife also just suggested it like maybe another guy and didn't specifically mention Jim Guy as the other M. My wife is bi, definitely enjoyed the vacation threesome but was genuinely hesitant until I was fully convinced my wife was into it, and that allowed me to enjoy myself and not feel guilty. We both were honest afterwards and it was enjoyable for both of us. Our sex life returned to normal and there was no awkwardness. Update 1, I ended up having a conversation with my wife a lot sooner than I anticipated and wanted to share the outcome because I got a lot of great advice from this subreddit. I also didn't realize how common this topic is. Some context first, because I think it's important to understand the dynamic I have with my wife. I'm a co-founder of a company in our home city and have a very flexible work schedule that allows me to WFH almost every day. My wife has not worked in 4 years and spends a lot of time at home as well. This dynamic causes us to spend about 90% of our time together. I don't get drinks with the boys while she's at home, and she's never left me at home to go out. For some people that would cause a lot of friction. But because it's been that way for almost the whole time, we are instead very close, and I can honestly say my wife is my best friend. I've always known I'm my wife's type, but over the years her attraction to me has grown. I've always been tall and well built, but I've made a lot of progress in my physique in recent years, as well as the success of my business has contributed to the way my wife views me and treats me. Which is why I was so confident that she is genuinely curious and explorative rather than manipulative or disloyal. You simply could not fake her behavior for 4 years without being a complete psychopath. With all that said, let me explain how this conversation went. I came home from the gym this morning and immediately told her I wanted to get something off my chest. We sat down and I said I'd be open to a threesome with another guy. Did you have someone in mind? 2 reasons I opened like that. I wanted to put her on the spot so she couldn't articulate a response and would just be honest. And second, I wanted to know how much she thought about it, i.e. did she have a guy in mind already? Her excitement was immediate. She was definitely still interested but said she hadn't thought about the other guy but figured we could do something similar to our vacation fling. And told me I could pick someone out. This made me feel better, but I slipped up and blurted out, well, what was with you eyeballing that dude at the gym last week when you brought the whole thing up? She was kinda taken aback but then looked shamed, and after a brief conversation she told me after our vacation threesome she had been kind of obsessed with the sexual encounter and loved the attention. It felt like a lot to unpack at first, but her honesty really helped me understand. She told me it made her feel desired and attractive, assured me it's not because I don't show her enough of that, but coming from a stranger made it feel sexy. It was weird to hear, but I thought on it for a moment and admitted I admire attractive strangers too and enjoy attention from them. It's the internal part of me that knows it'll never happen that clears my conscience. Is my wife's honesty about her fantasizing much different from me? Probably not. Her MFM fantasies started after reading a novel with a few of those scenes, and the protagonist's husband was not only into it but supportive, so I can see how it would soften up the topic and make her feel it was a legitimate ask. I admitted I was not into the idea of a MFM encounter at all, but still wanted to satisfy those desires as best I could while maintaining our exclusivity. She suggested another woman again, but with some added tools that could mimic a male partner. Fill in the blank there. I reiterated that I wanted to avoid another partner altogether. She took that really well and seemed to understand my emotions better. The conversation ended really well, and I actually feel so much better understanding her feelings at that deep level. I could relate to a lot of it if I'm honest and understand humans are sexual creatures that want to be admired and desired, but that doesn't make my wife any less faithful to me or love me less. At the end of the day, what we truly want is each other and to make each other happy. She ordered a few toys that will better fulfill what she wants to try, and she seemed genuinely excited, which made me feel a lot better. We both want to explore and expand our sex life, but with us at the center, and would not compromise something real and lasting for short-term gratification. I was honest with my wife and just put it all on the table. I didn't want any more group sex, regardless of genders involved, but I want to understand why that's something she wants and how we can compromise. The ideas that she finds sexy about a MFM encounter I can accomplish with some role play and extra toys. Making my wife feel comfortable enough to enjoy what she likes is an important role for me, and I won't shy away from it if she agrees to recognize my boundaries. As far as the flirtation and suggestion of an MFM, I have put my big boy pants on and understand two things in order to move on. 1. I like attention. 2. I've innocently flirted before. I like getting looks from attractive women. I fantasize sometimes. I clear my conscience because I would never act on them. Asking a human to never have sexual thoughts or deny themselves attention for the sake of ultra-strict monogamy is not sustainable. I don't like to see it, but knowing my wife doesn't have any IRL relationships that are questionable is the ultimate reason I know it's harmless and relate to my own feelings to better understand. I should focus on being the best partner I can be without projecting insecurities. 2. I have to take ownership that I had a threesome with another woman and my wife wasn't bothered. Why? I don't fully understand, but everyone's different. I could have easily agreed to an MFM encounter and high-fived the guy afterwards if my brain was wired that way. But it's not, and the idea instead made me jealous and angry. That's not my wife's fault, and I should be willing to give her the chance to understand that's not what I want and not resent her for suggesting it.